It's on the Washington side of the Bridge of the Gods, a few miles outside of Stevenson, Washington. And this is some green lagoon that I stopped at for a moment. And one thing about Oregon, and Washington, the Pacific Northwest, there's a certain shade, there's a certain tone of green that seems to be fairly unique for this region. And as I probably already said in other videos, I feel a major difference in overall energy going in and out of Portland, coming back into Portland from somewhere else, even somewhere as simple as Vancouver, Washington, which is just a few miles from Portland. But here in the Stevenson, Washington area, the Columbia Gorge, there's so much history, so many Indian legends. It's peaceful. It's one of the more peaceful places to visit in the Pacific Northwest. Not everywhere is all that peaceful in Oregon. There are some areas where it makes one really wonder what is their history. Like the history of towns like Estacada, or the history of towns like Oregon City, or other towns in Oregon where it doesn't feel as peaceful, even though they have some trees left, even though they still have that certain shade of green. There are different energies in these forests, no doubt about it. And there are others that feel the same way. This isn't just something that I've perceived. Others perceive it as well. There's a difference in energies, forest to forest, in the Pacific Northwest, and I think it has a lot to do with the history. And I think the history of these regions and what was done to the Native Americans, it has a profound impact on society today. The energy created in the past still lives today and is affecting the world that we're creating in the now and the future. And I think these are things that should be contemplated. One of the beautiful aspects of nature is that it provides the environment for deep natural contemplation. It goes without saying that I've spent even more time away from the computer this week, although I've decided that I'm going to continue making videos because it's not very difficult right now to shoot a few videos, charge the camera, and upload it to YouTube. There's a lot of time here that one can spend unwinding or reversing programming or reversing conditioning. Literally, it takes me a few days just to unwind from the fast, bustle, come and go energy in Portland or other related cities. But Portland, very, very strong air of competition. That affects the energy there. That affects the consciousness of the people there. I can feel a huge difference when I step outside Portland. I don't know what my future is going to be for the rest of the summer or my life or the winter for that matter. But when I get there, I get there. And certainly, it's only a matter of time before I actually get there. But I'm here right now, and not taking it all too seriously. That's what's most important. I've taken plenty of time to stop and smell the roses, or the blackberry bushes for that matter. And you know, one thing that I'm really looking forward to is picking a lot of blackberries. You know, maybe go through a period where I eat a whole bunch of them somewhere, you know, in August or July. And things are going to be changing here in the next month or two as more people are out and about camping and more kids are on summer vacation. It may not be as easy to find spots away from people. There's still going to be this ongoing survival adventure of mine trying to coexist, living in that vehicle Am I going to be going back and forth between Portland and some of these areas outside of Portland come July, when it's time for my weekly series to resume at Portland Community Media? It's possible. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. It's very, very possible. It wouldn't be the first time. And I'm actually going to be checking out the employment office here. I have an appointment in about an hour and a half. I just filled out the registration form. So I'm here in Stevenson, Washington for the meantime, seeing what opportunities may cross my path. Already I've been here about 5 days, 6 days, and I can tell it's a small town. You know, when you start seeing some of the same people over and over and over, and they start seeing you over and over and over again, it's a small town. You know, it's a small town. We can go into a local bar or a local lodge where members have a drink at the bar. There are some of those unique types of businesses, and the mayor's sitting right there. You know, and this guy's talking to the mayor about the corruption in Skamania County, something he has no influence over, the actions of what goes on in the county, but there he is, drinking with people from his town, and they're having a talk about police corruption in Skamania County, this county. And by the way, there's a number of federal operations underway in this county, which is the county where an overwhelmingly large majority voted for the legalization of marijuana in Washington state. So now these sting operations are taking place, and it's still not clear whether they're targeting growers or whether this is just ongoing activities of the drug war. There's been some stories in the papers relating to some people that have been charged with distribution of meth. It's unfortunate that so many of these natural areas have so many and suffer from so many social ills. Back to the past of this region and the land taken from the Native Americans. Isn't it interesting? Isn't it fascinating? Isn't it a coincidence? I would say so. That generations later in the same areas where this history took place, we see so many social ills, including the use of methamphetamines. It's always fascinated me throughout my whole life, growing up here in the Pacific Northwest, how so many that have grown up living in natural areas, how they have turned to such an insane poison to put in their body. A poison that I believe can attract negative entities or spirits to the person taking the substance, opening those doorways of reality. Questions. I think it's worthwhile to ask questions to answers that we're seeking. For now, this is Alex Chancery signing off from Skamania County, in Stevenson, Washington.